This happened a few years back when I worked at a hotel. I myself was initially employed as a maintenance engineer with simple responsibilities: test pool chims, replace filters, room maintenance, etc. However, during the spring, I was changed to overnight pulling security while one of the night guards was heading to do his 2 weeks of Army training. Luckily for me, I was also getting paid slightly more for the overnight shift, so I didn't complain much. As a night guard, you had to be keeping the peace around the hotel, all 6 floors. This wasn't a hassle because I had a backup guy with me most nights, so I wasn't alone handling some ruffians whenever they caused a stir. One night, I believe it was a Friday, and my partner called in. We had a group of adults hanging by the pool around 11 p.m. after the pool was closed half an hour earlier. It was something I was used to, so I entered the pool area and told them, party 6, that the pool was officially closed at 10:30. I got a couple scoffs and some complaints after, but they weren't too in a hurry to get out. Taking their sweet time to get out, dried off and went to the elevator. I noticed they left around 9 bottles of alcohol near the pool and had to clean up after them. No big deal. Around 30 minutes later, we got a noise complaint from the 5th floor, where some people were playing some loud music next door. I told the front desk lady that I'd check it out. Sure enough, I got up to the room that was complained about and knocked on the door, getting to see one of the patrons from the pool area answer the door. He looked like he would fall over out of exhaustion if you gave him a breathalyzer. "Yo, sup security, dude?" "Evening. I'm here to remind you to keep it down. I could hear you from across the building. People are trying to sleep." "So what? Not my fault if they can't sleep through it?" "It will be your problem if we need to come back. We have plenty of pilots and businessmen that are staying the night and need to sleep." "Get lost, kid." He slammed the door in my face and turned the music down to an acceptable level. I shrugged it off and headed back down to my post to check in with the front desk lady. I gave her the lowdown and went back to waiting for another call. Not even 30 minutes later, we get a call from a different room complaining of a smoke and scent coming from the room next to theirs and loud music being played. I checked the fire panel, and sure enough, a smoke detector was disconnected from the room I just visited. At this point, I was unnerved at their audacity to keep disturbing the peace, but then again, they seemed to be so drunk. I head back up there again and knock on the door. Sure enough, the music quiets and someone creeps up to the door. Someone had stuffed a towel under the door so no smoke could escape. Fun fact, that doesn't work. And they were trying to remove them without being noticed. I lick my lips out of irritation and wait for them to open the door again. Slowly, a guy opens the door. The light is off, and heck, is there a whiff of weed in the room. "Can I help you?" he asks. "Yeah, we got a complaint that your music was loud, and we got an alert saying your smoke alarm was disconnected from your wall. Is everything all right?" "Get lost. We're fine. Why do you people have to be so nosy?" "Well, for one, I'm here to keep the hotel from going to hell. And two, I'm one of the maintenance people here. If your smoke head is acting up, I need to ensure it's working properly." "Well, you can't right now. It's too dark in here to see." I smirk at him and flip the light switch. Lo and behold, he and his party were getting lit like 4th of July. They had little baggies on the floor filled with a green leaf of goodness, a couple Zippos, and broken liquor bottles all over. This was when crap started to hit the fan. "What the heck, man? We're trying to sleep here." "Looks like you're doing more than sleeping. What's in those baggies?" "None of your business now. Get the heck out." "Absolutely, because I'm kicking you out and finding the room for smoking." "Chill out, dude. We're not even smoking cig. I'm pretty sure you don't have any cigarettes in here, especially from what I'm seeing and selling. I'm partial to getting the police involved here real quick, but I'll tell you what. You can get out, take the fine, and find another hotel, or I call the local police and have them arrest you for possession. Me and my partner were fairly lenient on drugs. As long as you took the fine and left, we didn't do much else." "Oh, screw you. I've had it with you. Rent a cops. You have 15 minutes to grab yourself starting now." I shut the door and start walking towards the elevator, feeling a bit irritable, but shrugging it off as I walk. A couple seconds later, the door opens. I don't think much of it, but in an instant, I felt something slam into the back of my skull with a strong force. I lunge forward and turn around to see the same douchebag I just talked to grab an unopened bottle of ale and smack me in the back of the head with it. At this point, I'm livid. Bear in mind, I'm not the strongest guy, but I can take a hit. 5'8" and around 250 pounds, so I'm a bit on the heavier side. I glare at him straight in the eye. Out of his drunken vigor, he decided to take another swing at me. I blocked the bottle with my arm and pulled out my baton, knocking the inside of his knee in to get him to fall forward. As he did, he dropped his bottle and I quickly kneed his back so he fell onto the ground and I cuffed him. He squirmed and cursed me out, waking up most of the floor and having a couple people come out of their rooms to see the commotion. The other party people were shaking and scurrying towards the elevator with their belongings, where I followed after them and headed down to the lobby. One girl asks, "Are you going to arrest him?" Another one answers her and says, "Oh my God, he could arrest us too." The guy cuffed in my hands tells them, "No, he's a scaredy cat. He won't arrest you. He just likes showing off." I say, "No, I can't arrest you. I'll leave that to the police." "Because you're too fat to be a cop." He spits out, but I just ignore him. We arrive at the lobby and the rest of the party bolts for the other elevators to the ground floor so they can get the heck out of the hotel. I bring the guy down and throw him into a chair and tell the front desk lady, who was panicking at the time because I'm pretty sure I was bleeding, adrenaline is a wonderful thing to have, to call the police. She gets off the phone with them and says it'll be 30 minutes. That guy is sitting in the chair spouting profanities till an officer comes about 30. 5 minutes later, the officer walks up to the desk and turns to the guy. The officer shook his head slightly in disbelief because he recognized the guy. Turns out he had a warrant for his arrest in another city for possession, selling, assault, and attempted murder. The officer wasted no time calling up his buddy, who must have been waiting downstairs in the squad car. The officer asked if he assaulted me and if I wanted to press charges. I declined but did mention that there was a stash of drugs and paraphernalia up in the room. His backup arrived and kept an eye on the suspect. We went back to the room and sure enough, there were still some drugs hiding in cracks and crevices, the toilet bowl, the sink, even under the mattress. I guess there was about 3 or 4 pounds of just drugs, not entirely sure how I came to that conclusion. We went back to the guy who denied having possession of any drugs, until the officer dangled a baggie in front of him. He got arrested and they escorted him down to the squad car downstairs, and that was the last I heard of him. Funnily enough, a few days later, I found out that the room wasn't in his name, but one of the girls' names. Turns out she was also wanted, and her card had the billing address where she was actually living, with the second girl. Overall, I had one of the worst nights of my life, but I digress. My head hurt for a week, no major bleeding, but there was a bump. Was it worth it? Probably. Okay, it was totally worth it. Damn, so here's the deal. I got this sweet little Prius, right? Nothing fancy, just my trusty set of wheels that's taken me places. Now, I ain't rich, and I sure as hell ain't driving some shiny sports car, but my Prius and we got history. Now, cue Karen. She rolls in with this yellow Porsche, acting like she owns the whole damn neighborhood. First day, she's eyeballing my parking spot like it's the last piece of pizza at a party. She starts throwing around some math lingo, saying it's mathematically closer to her place or some nonsense. I'm just like, listen, lady, I've been parking here since before you knew what a Prius was. You can park next to me, but this is my turf. Of course, she ain't having it. Every now and then I catch her trying to sneak her Porsche into my spot when she thinks I'm not looking. It's like a game of parking spot chess, and she's trying to checkmate me. But I ain't one to back down. Now, here's where it gets wild. One day, I decide to take a bus to visit my mom for a couple of days. I leave my Prius in its usual spot, minding its own business. Fast forward 3 days, and I'm back, expecting a warm welcome from my four-wheel buddy. But lo and behold, my heart drops when I see my car looking like it got into a fight with a monster truck. All 4 wheels flat as pancakes, scratches everywhere. It's a damn crime scene, and Karen's peeking out from behind her curtains like she's watching a soap opera. I'm fuming. No way this happened by accident. My first thought is, who the hell did this? And then my eyes lock onto Karen's hideous yellow Porsche. Man, you won't believe the crap I went through with this neighbor from hell. Let me spill the beans on the whole saga. So there I am, living my best life with my trusty Toyota Prius. Yeah, I know it ain't a Ferrari, but it gets me from A to B without burning a hole in my wallet. I've had that baby for years and I love it like it's my kid. Park it in the same spot in my compound every single day, right? Life's good. Now enters Karen. Picture this, a woman in her 40s with a yellow Porsche that screams, I'm compensating for something. First day she moves in, she's eyeing my parking spot like it's the last piece of pizza at a party. She starts spouting some mathematical nonsense about distances from her place, claiming it's her divine right to park there. I tell her, Listen, lady, I've been parking here since before you knew what a Prius was. You can park next to me, but this is my turf. Of course, she ain't having it. Every now and then I catch her trying to sneak her Porsche into my spot when she thinks I'm not looking. It's like a game of parking spot chess, and she's trying to checkmate me. But I ain't one to back down. Now, here's where it gets wild. One day, I decide to take a bus to visit my mom for a couple of days. I leave my Prius in its usual spot, minding its own business. Fast forward 3 days and I'm back, expecting a warm welcome from my four-wheeled buddy. But lo and behold, my heart drops when I see my car looking like it got into a fight with a monster truck. All four wheels, flat-ass pancakes, scratches everywhere. It's a damn crime scene, and Karen's peeking out from behind her curtains like she's watching a soap opera. I'm fuming. No way, this happened by accident. My first thought is, who the hell did this? And then my eyes lock onto Karen's hideous yellow Porsche. I don't waste time. I call up my neighbor, Kelly, who's got security cameras on her property. We huddle around her computer, and there it is. Karen, under the cover of darkness, keying my Prius like it's a scratching post. We've got a red-handed, or should I say, yellow, Porsche, handed. I'm furious, but I keep my cool. I call the cops, file a report, and let justice do its thing. But that's not enough for me. I decide to take this entitled Karen to small claims court. It's not about the money. It's about teaching her a lesson. We're in court, and Karen's doing the classic I'm innocent routine. She's got her lawyer, and I'm standing there with my trusty Prius keychain as my defense. The judge, though, he's not buying her act. We present the evidence, the CCTV footage of Karen's midnight escapade. It's like Judge Judy on steroids. The judge doesn't mess around. He looks at Karen dead in the eyes and says, "Ma'am, you messed with the wrong guy's Prius." Okay, he didn't say it exactly like that, but you get the gist. Long story short, the judge rules in my favor. Karen has to pay up, and I ain't talking pocket change. I calculate the cost of a brand new Prius, and that becomes the magic number. She's got to cough up the dough for a car exactly like mine. I'm feeling vindicated, but Karen's still got that entitled scowl on her face. She writes the check like it's killing her to part with that much money. I take it, and you bet your sweet Prius I cash it. As for my car, it's back in action. New wheels, fresh coat of paint to cover Karen's scratches. It's like my Prius went to the spa and came back looking better than ever. And you know what the best part is? Karen can't even look me in the eye anymore. Every time I see her, she does this awkward shuffle, like she's trying to avoid the Prius Avenger. Lesson learned, Karen. You mess with a man's parking spot in his Prius, and you'll pay the price. I might not have a Porsche, but my Prius and we've got something money can't buy. The satisfaction of putting an entitled neighbor in her place. About a month ago, I was stocking shelves at work, dressed in a green polo shirt and jeans with my store's name on the shirt and my name badge in full sight pinned to it, when a lady walks up to me and asks if I work there while her husband is standing with the cart a few feet away. With a glance left and right then, a shushing motion of a finger to my lips, I told her softly I got one of their work shirts and now just play around with the products on the shelves. The shocked look on her face got me cracking up when the husband, who overheard me, walks up laughing. I apologized to her for the prank, and she started laughing, and I sent them off to where the product they were looking for was stocked. Now, about 10 minutes later, I run into them in another area, and they both glance about, then make a shushing motion to me before laughing. This caused my boss, who just walked up, to get confused and asked what was that about. All I could do was laugh as I explained it to him while we headed to the back stockroom. I had worked security for a large West Coast, high-end apartment store in the late 1970s. I started looking for another job when I realized the security manager was not very good at her job and also kept taking my ideas up to corporate security and taking the credit. I finally found my dream job during college, working for a private investigator. I stopped by the store to visit with some people I used to work with and do a little Christmas shopping. While I am there, I stop in to briefly talk with the security manager. She mentions that they have been having a real problem in the electronics section with a massive amount of stock disappearing regularly. The stockroom was new for electronics and had not been there when I worked there. She says they have changed the lock and limited the people who have access to the key. Just for kicks, I go to electronics to look around. 5 minutes later, I went back to get her. I tell her where to place a temporary camera to catch the thieves. In my 5 minutes, I find out that to create the stockroom, they put in a new wall and door, but only on the front. The back of the stockroom had been a passageway before the remodel, and they had just nailed plywood over the passageway and painted it to match the wall. The plywood was loose. The thieves had been stealing the stock through this easily recognizable security shortcoming. It does give me some good vibes when I help people without having to